Hi smart cookies, in today's class we are going to learn the preposition. What is the preposition? A preposition shows the relationship between two nouns or pronouns. Preposition is always placed before a noun or a pronoun. So now let's directly go to the exercises. Now the first example, he lives at Gandhinagar in Tambram. He lives at Gandhinagar. When we are talking about small towns or villages and a smaller extent of space, we have to use the preposition at. When we are talking about a wider extent of space, we have to use the preposition in. So Gandhinagar is a smaller area in Tambram. When compared to Tambram, Gandhinagar is a small area in Tambram, right? So for small space, the place that occupies smaller spaces, for that we have to use the preposition at. And for, I have written here, for big towns, districts, states or countries, we have to use the preposition in. Okay. Second one, I live in Chennai in India. For districts, states and countries, we have to use the preposition in. Okay. So I live in Chennai in India. Third one, the annual day function is on March 10th, right? So for date and days, we have to use the preposition on. For date and days, we have to use on. So next one, let's see. He takes class on Fridays. So here we are talking about the day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So for days and dates, we have to use on. So he takes class on Fridays. He takes classes on Fridays. Next one, I read newspaper. When you are talking about in the morning, afternoon or evening, we have to use in. But for noon and night, we have to use the preposition at. Okay. I read newspaper in the morning, or I read newspaper in the afternoon, I read newspaper in the evening. But for night, we should not use the preposition in the night. Okay. At night. Okay. I read newspaper in the morning. Next one, don't leave the windows open at night. For night, we have to use the preposition at. So don't leave the windows open at night. And the next one, the match ended at 5 p.m. When we are talking about the specific time, we have to use the preposition at. So the match ended at 5 p.m. Next one, I was born in July in 1971. So when we are talking about months and years, for days and dates, we have to use the preposition on. For months and years, we have to use in. Okay. So I was born in July in 1971. The ninth one, she has been ill for 3 days. For 3 days, we have to use the preposition for a period of time. When we are talking about duration, how long the girl has been ill. When we are talking about the duration, we have to use the preposition for. Okay. How long she has been ill? She has been ill for 3 days. Next one, 10th one, she has been ill since Monday. Here, specific point of time. When did she fall ill? On Friday, on Monday. Okay. So, she has been ill since Monday. Since refers to the specific point of time and for is used for a period of time. That is the difference between for and since. Okay. She has been ill since Monday. 11th one, the thief was beaten by the policeman. Here, by is the agent by whom the action was done. So, by the doer of the action. We have to use by for the doer of the action. The thief was beaten by the policeman. Next one, the thief was beaten with a stick. With a stick. So, the instrument used to perform an action. The thief escaped with my handbag. So, with my handbag is the instrument used to do the action. Okay. Next one, the property was divided between the two brothers. When we are talking about only two persons or things, we have to use the preposition between. I have written here, see, two persons or things. When we are talking about two persons or things, we have to use between. So, the property was divided between the two brothers. Next one, sweets were distributed among the children. Among the children, we are talking about children, more children, right? More than two persons are involved in it. So, we have to use the preposition among. Sweets were distributed among the children. Okay. Next one, 15th one, the beggar was sitting beside the road. What is the difference between beside and besides? Beside means by the side of, near, by the side of. Besides means in addition to, apart from that, something else also. Okay. So, the beggar was sitting beside the road. Beside the road means by the side of the road. Besides clothes, I gave him money. This one we have to pronounce it as close. TH is silent. Like how we tell close the door, close the windows. Similarly, we have to pronounce the word close, not clothes. TH is silent. So, besides clothes, I gave him money. I not only gave clothes, but also I gave money. In addition to clothes, I gave him money. Okay. So, 17th one, the juice is in the jug. So, in the jug, when it is resting, the juice is not doing any action, it is simply there in the jug. So, no movement is involved there. So, the juice is in the jug. We have to use the preposition in. So, let us now see the difference between in and into. When some movement is involved, you have to use the preposition into. So, let us see in the example, pour the juice into the glass. So, when you are pouring the juice into the glass, you do some movement, some action. Some action is being performed there, some movement is there. So, you have to use the preposition into, right. This is dynamic, this is static. It involves no movement, this involves movement. Some motion is there. You are pouring the juice, right. So, next one, similarly, he rushed into the room. He rushed into the room. So, some action is there. So, it involves some movement. You have to use the preposition into. Next one, the goat was sitting on a rock. Now, we are going to see the difference between on and upon. Right. The goat was sitting on a rock. It was simply sitting. There is no movement. Okay. Where is the goat? The goat is sitting on the rock. So, to rest. So, we have to use the preposition on for resting. That is why you sit on a stool. You sit in the chair. You sit on a stool. Right. So, because you use while sitting in the chair has arms and to lean back. You can lean. While you are sitting on a stool, you do not have arms or the provision to lean. That is why you use on for stool and chair and in for chair. You sit in a chair. You sit on a stool. Is it clear? Yes. So, the goat was sitting on a rock. The goat was simply sitting on a rock. It was not moving. So, there is no movement involved there. No motion is there. That is why you have to use the preposition on. Whereas, when you say upon, it involves some movement. A lion pounced upon the goat. A lion pounced upon the goat. So, pounced upon. Some action is done by the lion. So, pounced upon the goat. That is why you use the preposition upon here. It involves some movement. Right. Now, we are going to see the difference between over and above. A sword was this one. The pronunciation of SWORD is not sword. It is sword. W is silent. So, a sword was hanging over my head. Over and above both refer to a vertical height only, to vertical height. But the difference is when we use the preposition over, some movement is involved, but no movement for above. It is static and this one is dynamic. This is active. So, that is why we say birds are hovering over the mountains. So, the birds are flying over the mountains. Some action is done by the birds. So, a sword was hanging over my head. So, use the preposition over for motion, for movement. Now the next one, the sky is above our heads. The sky is above our heads. Okay. Next, the opposite of over is under, and the opposite of above is below. Above, below. Similarly, over, under. The cat sat under the table and she lives in an apartment below ours. Above, below, right? The opposite of above is below and opposite of over is under. So, she lives in an apartment below ours. Now, let us see what preposition follows certain verbs. So, I congratulated. So, we have to use on for this verb congratulated, right? I congratulated him on his success in the examination. I congratulated him on his success. Okay. On the next one, believe. The preposition that follows the verb believes is in. We have to use the preposition in for the verb believe, right? He does not believe in the existence of ghosts, right? He does not believe in the existence of ghosts. Next, fight against. So, the preposition that follows the verb fight is against. We have to use the preposition against. So, we must fight against coronavirus. We must fight against coronavirus. Next, the preposition that follows prefer. We have to use to. I prefer coffee to tea. You should not use than. I prefer coffee to tea. And next, pay for. So, everyone has to pay for his or her misdeeds. So, we have to use preposition for the verb pay. You have to use these prepositions only for these verbs, right? He quarreled with. So, quarreled should be followed by the preposition with. He quarreled with his friend over a book. Quarreled means he fought with his friend, right? He quarreled with his friend. And next, for interfering, we can use the preposition with, either with or in. It depends on the context where we use. Okay. So, I prohibited him from interfering with us. Don't interfere with us. I prohibited him from interfering with us. Okay. But when I am giving advice or suggestion, don't interfere in the affairs of others. Don't indulge in other person's affairs. So, I prohibited him from interfering with us. Never interfere in the affairs of others. So, it depends on the context. Okay. Thank you for watching.